Hello, my name is Bourke, and I have Steve Hope on my show to talk about Keene City Council. Now, how do you get started?
Well, thank you for having me on your show, Ryan. It's quite an honor to be here.
You're welcome.
And that's a very good question because since we last talked, I was elected to the City Council in Keene, and I am elected to Ward 1, which is represents quite a lot of people that live in the city. And I'm in my third year on the City Council. So it's been a lot of hard work, but I have enjoyed it very much. And perhaps I could tell you a little bit about what it's like to be a city councilor. Would you like to hear that?
I do.
Oh, okay, thanks. Well, what my job is to do for the city of Keene is to be a connection between the day-to-day activities with the city of Keene through the city manager by doing policy work on the city council. And that's kind of what they call the legislative part of the city. And we work on policy decisions, and then the city, through the city manager, carries out those policies. And part of this work is ordinances. And ordinances are things like, what you should do about being quiet at night, kind of like they say a noise ordinance. And so we pass these ordinances after getting input from both the citizens of Keene and the city staff, and we come up with a solution that we think is best for the city. So the main goal of a city councilor is to do what he or she thinks is important for the city, representing the city, but a major link to the voters of the city in the ward that they were voted into. And so we get to listen to their concerns and we pass it along, and that's how it works. So would you like to know what goes on at a meeting?
I do, yes.
Oh, good. So what we do is we have a council meeting every 2 weeks. And guess how many councilors there are?
A lot?
50? 75? There's 15.
18.
That's a lot, though. That's a lot. I'm just one of 15. So, when decisions are made by the council, it's done by what they call a vote. And if we're voting on an ordinance, a rule in the city of Keene, then if there are 15 councilors to vote yes and pass it, you need 8 out of the 15 because that's called a majority. So you could have 8 for and 7 against, and guess what? It passes. What if you had 7 for and 8 against? What would happen then?
It'll pass?
Yeah, if you have people that are against it, and there's not enough people to vote for it, guess what happens? It doesn't pass.
Nope.
No, it doesn't. So we vote as a full group of councilors. That makes it a group team effort. You don't want one councilor voting on something alone, do you? You want a group that makes it a group effort, and everything is weighed so that it's kind of like a democratic system where everyone votes and the majority wins. So I think that's a good way to do it. And so let me tell you about the other parts of the council. Guess what? There's standing committees on the council. And I'm on the Municipal Services, Facilities, and Infrastructure Committee. And guess what they do?
Talk,
You know what infrastructure is? It's a big word, but that means pipes and everything underground.
like under the street?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And guess what? It's stuff above the ground too, like roads.
Now, I had a question.
Sure.
Now, I heard that they're going to shut down the Winchester Wall. Do you know anything about that?
Well, there's always work being done on Winchester Street, and what's going to happen is that they're going to be working on improving the road there. So they have to find ways to detour people in order to get people around the city if they work on any road in Keene, you know. So, you know that they've been talking about putting in a smaller roundabout, which was sort of over near where McDonald's is.
Yep.
On Winchester Street. And what they want to do is make sure that the traffic flows smoothly. And they have found that with roundabouts, the traffic keeps moving. And so in many cases, when there's a chance to put in a roundabout, they put in a roundabout instead of a traffic light. So that's what they're doing on Winchester Street. And so all of these things are meant to try to improve the traffic flow in the city of Keene. And so that's a very good question. And guess what? We talk about these specific questions that come up in the standing committee, which are 3 committees that are part of the city council. So guess what? You've got 15 city councilors.
Oh.
And you have 3 committees that divide up the 15 people. So if you divide 15 by 3, there's a math question, you get
18?
5.
5. Oh.
Yeah, 5. And so there's 5 on the committee I'm on. And guess what the other 2 committees are? Those are the Planning Licenses Committee. It's PLD, Planning Licenses and Development. And then there's the FOP, which is the Financial Committee, abbreviated. So the Financial Committee makes financial decisions, mostly, and the Planning Committee makes planning decisions, and the committee I'm on makes infrastructure decisions about the roads and about the underground stuff and everything like that. So we have to make decisions on the money part of what's going to be spent. So you know what that's called? It's called a budget.
Budget, yep.
Yeah. You know, everybody has a budget, right? Do you have a budget?
Yeah. Why not walk?
Yeah, you have to make sure your money is spent pretty good, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Otherwise, you run out of money at the end of the month, right? Yeah. So that's what we have to do, is that we have to make sure that the taxpayers' money is spent properly. So we go through all of the discussions on the budget, and right now we're planning the budget for next year, which is the 2019-2020 budget. And it's a lot of money, and we have to be careful that it's spent wisely. So we have recommendations that we listen to from people putting the budget together with the departments of the city. You know, the fire department has a budget, and
Yep.
I bet you the police does too, right?
They do.
Yeah. They have to spend money on fire trucks and cruisers and stuff like that. And the city has a lot of departments, and they all put together their budget request. And then that's discussed for quite a few months to see what can be spent and what might have to be, saved for another year, okay? And that's hard work, because everything is important. And sometimes we have to make decisions where we have to delay an important item because of the budget and the money that we have. Did you know money doesn't grow on trees?
It doesn't.
No.
It's, virtually, it doesn't. Money is like you have to work for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you live in Keene and you pay taxes, you'd want your services to be good. Guess what? Like sidewalk plowing, right?
That's right.
Because if you didn't have the sidewalks plowed, you could slip and fall. Right?
And that wouldn't be good.
No. Have you ever had sidewalks that sometimes they get icy, so they have to go and sand them as well as plow them?
Yeah.
And the streets too. Those are important to plow when there's a snowstorm. And so all of that requires money from the budget. So all of the trucks that go around plowing the snow, guess what department that is called in Keene? That's called the Public Works Department. And they have all of the trucks, and they run the sewer department and the water department that cleans your water that you drink. And it's a very big department, very important. So if you didn't have the Public Works Department working hard on the water wouldn't be good to drink. So they spend a lot of time on that too. And the other departments are very important too. I mean, guess what? There's a department that's dealing with parking in Keene. Now, what do you think about parking in Keene? Do you think that's important?
I think that's very important.
Do you think it's important because people want to go downtown and enjoy downtown, right?
Yep.
And in order to help with things that cost money for the city, many towns have parking meters to raise money. That's another part of the city revenue, ways to make money. They call them fees. That's the important thing with fees is that you have the sewer fees, and you have the parking fees, and you have several fees. And guess what they do? They raise money.
That's right.
And so that's another way, besides taxes in Keene, that you raise money for the city. And guess what another way is to bring in money for the city? Grants. Do you know what grants are? I can explain it to you.
Okay.
Okay. Grants are money that you apply for and you get to do good things for the city, like federal grants. So you could get a federal grant to help you build a road, and you could get a federal grant to help you build the airport. And that's important, right?
Very important.
Yeah. Now, have you been over to the airport?
Not for a while.
Yeah. Have you ever flown?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What have you flown? What have you been in for a plane?
To go to Florida, Disney World. Disney World.
Disney World? Yeah, it was where'd you fly out of? Manchester or Boston? Or,
That I don't.
you can't remember?
No.
Yeah? How'd you like Disney World?
I love that.
Yeah?
It's expensive.
Yeah, who'd you go with?
My family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yeah.
What did you like best about it?
Going to the theme park.
Ah,
Now I have to tell you. Now what else to do? Like you guys when people are downtown, how to keep downtown clean.
mm-hmm. That's done by the Public Works Department. That's a very good question. And they, in the summertime, and you see some men and women that are in the gardens with the flowers.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep the city pretty, and they do that by keeping the gardens up in the city. And guess what? They work on the trees too, try to keep the trees going. Is that important to you? Do you keep the city looking beautiful?
It's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like to see for a beautiful city? What makes the city, important when you go downtown? What do you like to see? Do you like to see clean stuff and everything?
I like to see clean stuff, nice people.
Mm-hmm. Would you like the park to be a little bit more improved at Central Square, that little park in the middle of the city where you go around and the statue is there and the stuff? Would you like that to be a nice park, bigger park?
I probably would, yeah.
Mm-hmm. A place where people could get together and feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What we're doing is not short term, but long term, we're thinking in ways to make the city more pleasant for people to come down to visit. And guess what? Having a clean city, like you suggested, is very important. Who would want to come to a city that's got trash and dirt and everything
No
blowing
one.
around? Nobody, huh? I agree. So we want people to enjoy the city, and that means we have to make it pleasant enough so they want to come to visit it. So what we're doing for the public to know is that we're doing what they call a downtown coordinator. And we're looking for that downtown coordinator as we speak. So what they will do is they will try to lead an effort with other parts of the city in order to make downtown a more pleasant place to visit and come. And so that was just passed by the city council, and now we're looking to find a person to do that. And so I think that's a very important move by the city, because guess what? It's harder and harder for cities to bring business and to bring people into the cities to visit. It's very, very much of a challenge. Sometimes people want to go to the malls and park out there. I do, and I think it's important to say, we welcome you to the city of Keene, and we want you to do shopping down here. And so that's going to be what we're going to be working on for the next few years and beyond, to try to make Keene a better place to live and a better place to work. And so, do you shop down in Keene? Or do you go to restaurants and stuff?
Sometimes. Like, I go to the diner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lindy's?
Lindy's, yeah.
How come you like Lindy's?
They have good food.
Mm-hmm. And what's your favorite meal there?
Good cheese.
Ooh, yeah, that's one of my favorites. And do you have a drink with it? I mean, like not a drink, but a coffee or milk or something?
Coffee.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I'm getting hungry just thinking about food, Ryan. Jeez, why'd you do that? Okay. What else do you like to do in Keene? You must visit some places in Keene. Do you like to do stuff at different places, maybe the rec department or anything like that? So do you participate in any games, events?
I have been I have been doing basketball.
Good.
And track.
Okay. And do you do that at the Keene Recreation Department?
Yeah.
Excellent. Who's your coach?
Peter.
Peter. Okay. And do you play in tournaments, or what do you do?
We play. We practice. Then we play in just like we had a tournament in Keene last weekend.
So you like like basketball a lot, and do you play any particular position?
On the 3-on-3. Yeah.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So, do you do anything else, like Olympics or anything anymore, or did you retire from that?
This year I retire.
You retired, and you have a lot of medals, right?
Oh yeah.
Wow, that's something else. And so you enjoyed those days when you were doing the Special Olympics, right? Yeah. And that was track, right? You said?
Track, yeah.
Yeah. I remember sometimes you traveled to the Special Olympics over in Manchester, weren't they? Or some place, UNH, University of New Hampshire?
There was one in Derry, New Hampshire.
Derry, yeah.
And for the summer games, UNH.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you bowled at one time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I was thinking too. There's so many nice events that you go into, and I heard that you like what they call the penguin plunge. Could you talk about the penguin plunge? I have no idea what that is.
Well, I don't do it, but it's like people going to the ocean to raise money.
Mm-hmm. And you go as a fan, a supporter? Yeah. And what was it like seeing people go into the water that was freezing?
Cold.
You felt cold too, right? What do you think they felt like?
Cold.
Yeah. What do they raise money for? Do you know?
To keep the Special Olympics going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a good cause, right? Yeah. Do you know what they do in that for that cause? Have you done some research on what the money goes for and all of that good stuff? And you really like to do that. Yeah. Why don't you go in yourself? That would be fun, wouldn't it? You think it'd be too cold?
Too cold, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I couldn't do it either. I couldn't do it either. So one of the things that we were talking about, all the fun stuff that you can do around Keene, and I'm a member of the Keene Senior Center now. So one of the things that we do on the council is to try to support good organizations around the city in a little funding. And this time, with the budget, we're looking to try to support some of those organizations. Now, have you heard of the Community Kitchen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And what do they do?
Cook for people.
Yeah. Okay. It's important, don't you think?
Very important.
Yeah. And so they have a challenge raising money. So each year they and other organizations ask for a little support from the city. And I'm a very big supporter of these organizations. I think that the money that is saved by the city with their services far outweighs the money that we are asked to support them every year. And it's what they call a good bang for the buck, because they aren't run by the city, they're run by a private nonprofit group. And also, for instance, the Keene Rec Department is funded by the city, but it is important to fund it because of all of the events that go on, like your basketball and other things that go on. So when you've heard of all of this, does it give you the feeling that the city is a pretty complicated thing when it comes to government?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is too. And I've learned quite a bit about how the city functions, how government functions. And did you know that a lot of the things that the city does is based on what the state does for legislation. If the state has not passed something and Keene tries to pass something locally, we sometimes find it difficult because of the laws, and we have to have it passed by the state first before we can make any action locally. That makes it extremely difficult sometimes to get things moving on the local level. And I think many of the constituents don't realize that we can't just do everything locally through ordinances, et cetera. There are state and federal laws that we have to be very cognizant about in order to not break any laws ourselves. And that's true with the, the tobacco rule that we passed that raised the age from 18 to 21. That was an exception where we could do it locally, and still the state law is not 18 to 21.
Well, we running out of time. We got 2 minutes left.
Oh my goodness, has time passed so quickly?
Alan, thank you for coming on.
Oh, you're very welcome, Ryan. I hope I've filled you in a little bit about what I'm doing now, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Bye.